Hi, this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where CEOs, COOs, and business owners share strategies for better success. This is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best strategies are concise business advice. And so we're going to be concise and get right to our guest today. So with question number 1, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, Keith. I'd like to take this opportunity and say thank you for having me on the podcast today. My name is Luke. Appreciate it. My name is Luke Daniel, and I'm the owner of PSC Training. We are a consulting firm that teaches executive protection teams how to read, understand, and articulate the nonverbal behaviors that are observed on the daily basis. We do that in an attempt to increase consistency and continuity across their work center and the overall culture that they're working within.
That's really fascinating and great to have you on. Appreciate you taking time to be here. With kind of a second question following up to that is, what's the best thing about being a business leader?
Well, in this situation as a consultant, the biggest advantage or positive that I have is getting to work with different teams. I get to integrate in with their teams and I get to see how they operate and give them not a better way to do things, but different tools that if they find they can utilize, it works out for them and it actually makes their workflow a little bit easier. So that's the most exciting part of the consulting side.
That's really cool. All right, question number 3. I hear from other business leaders that a lot of times the people strategy in their business is more complicated, complex than the actual business strategy of running their business. Your thoughts?
I completely agree. The most important part of business is that human relationship. Even as a consultant, I don't have employees anymore, but I still have to interface and have those relationships with the people that I work with. And the humans are complex. Being able to identify how to have the best relationship with those employees or those potential clients, whether internal or external, that's a hard piece to work with. And we focus on nonverbal communication, so we utilize that to help smooth those rough edges or create a buffer zone that people can interact with their employees or their clients in a little bit easier way to give them that leg up or that advantage.
So you're really focused on that people strategy and helping them do that in their business, which is awesome because a lot of businesses I think need that. So.
I agree. It's easy, losing a good employee because of an issue in leadership can be costly both to the business and the culture of the business that it's losing. So we want to try to work on keeping those employees, especially those key employees, making sure that they're happy and they're ingrained and they have buy-in to the culture within the business. And that really is much harder than trying to go out and figure out, well, what product do I need to release today? Or what retail do I need to fill the shop that we're building out? Things like those are easy solutions. Putting out the fires on the employee side or on the client side is the hard part.
Well said. All right. Question number 4. What strategy would you like to share with other business leaders?
So the strategy that I'd like to share today is how communication is broken down. If you listen to Professor Morabian, he says that communication is broken down into 3 different sections. You've got the verbal, the words that are used, and that accounts for about 7% of the information that we're trying to convey. Then you've got the tone that's used, and the tone conveys about 38% of the information we're trying to portray as we're speaking. Now, that leaves about 55% of information that most people see, we see it, but we can't identify or articulate that. And that 55% is nonverbal communication, those nonverbal body language cues that we give off as we're speaking. And that is the biggest thing that I'd like to share with people, is that we can not only identify, but we can articulate those nonverbal behaviors that we see, and we can use that to get ahead of the fires before they start. If we have an employee on the ground whom their baseline of behavior is they're always happy, they're always there, they're always content at work, and then all of a sudden one day they come in and we notice, well, they were a little late, they're not as clean shaven as they normally are, Well, those are anomalies that we as leadership can identify to take a proactive step in managing that personal relationship and finding out why or what's going on in that employee's life that maybe we can help. Maybe a referral to an EAP program or some other outside source is what's needed to keep that employee there and part of the culture.
It definitely takes some skill to learn that non-verbal communication and understand it. And obviously you have to have a great awareness to watch for it, but
It's actually a lot easier than most people think.
right, once you learn it and once you pay attention to it. So,
Yes.
but great answer and great strategy. I think it's something that a lot of businesses need. So question number 5, what other successful business leaders, CEOs, owners would you like to acknowledge here or you think would be good on the podcast?
Well, Keith, I've actually got 2. I'd like to say, recognize my wife, Kat. She's a rockin' business owner. She owns a full body waxing salon here locally in Grand Junction, Colorado. We're actually building out her new shop, and she's getting ready to more than double her staff and the shop size. So she's crushing it.
That's awesome.
Secondly, I'd like to recommend Joe Otera, CEO and president of Vehicle Dynamics Institute. He's been around the training sphere, especially on the security side or the executive driver side, for more than 17 years. I think Joe said he's operated in 34 countries in 6 continents. I've been lucky enough to travel with Joe to Africa and Thailand a couple of times, and he is by far one of the most experienced leaders that I've had the opportunity to work with.
That's really cool. Well, hopefully maybe they'll both be available. Your wife, maybe we have an in with, who knows, but we can get them on the podcast and we'd love to hear some insights that they have as well. So question number 6, just kind of a final fun question. Tell me about your favorite past boss.
Well, since I can't say Joe because he's not my past boss anymore, I still work with him. I'd have to say Gary Creech. He was a supervisor that I worked with when I was working at the hospitals. And Gary is he's one of the best that I've seen take that personal human relationship to the next level. Gary was very good at not only working that political game of the upper leadership in the hospital, but he made sure that he went to bat for his crew and the people under him so that we had what we needed to do our job as best we could.
It's important. You have to understand the dynamics of any organization. And obviously, the larger the organization, the more bureaucracy or politics sometimes come into play. But to have your employees' backs, I mean, that's a sign of a really good leader and somebody that obviously employees trust. So sounds like he was a great leader and a great mentor, perhaps.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, before we leave, could you tell people how maybe they could reach out to you, connect with you?
Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn under Luke Daniel, or you can connect on Facebook at PSC Training, or the website, www.primarysc.com or primarysecurityandconsulting.com.
Great. Well, it has been great having you on and some great insights, and we wish you the best success going forward. And, it sounds like you're doing a great thing with a lot of different businesses. So again, appreciate you being on. It was great having you on. And this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast. And for more insights, you can follow us on LinkedIn or at Weaver Business Coaching, or listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. And we wish you the best success.
Thank you.